Welcome replay viewers, and hello everybody, and welcome back again to YouTube Live, which was down yesterday afternoon here in the East. I'm not sure how extensive it was, but Jamie in Texas said she was able to upload videos on YouTube yesterday afternoon, but those of us in the New York area were not able to do that until about 7:45 last evening. But here we are on Thursday, July 13th, and the time is 9:10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we're looking at the purple martin colonies because I believe we fledged our first family this morning. And of course my experience with the activity of these birds is that everybody in the colony gets excited when the first little ones come out of a nest, make their first appearance. And we have a lot of hangers on here, like bachelor birds and uncles and aunts and maybe even some cousins. But also by the wing action I can see, yeah, we had an early morning fledging here because the baby birds, well, they're full size now obviously, but this is their first day out of the cavity. And they're still going through their wing flutter motions and flapping their wings to attract the parents to come and feed them. And I do see a couple of birds on the perches that are doing that motion right now, or occasionally they are. So I'm sorry, we're looking right into the sun here, but let me get around to different angles and we'll show this. Let's see if I can zoom in on the one I'm talking about here on the end. And it's also the babies for the first week or so, they basically have stubbier wings. All right, see these two on the end over here? Now watch what they're doing. They're going through their wing flapping like to try to attract the parents to feed them, still feed them. This is very interesting. Usually it's pretty quiet because all the birds, the babies are still inside the cavities and the parents come to feed them. But once you have a family or two, and this looks like a heck of a lot more than just one family fledged today, it gets very exciting here for the birds on the cavities and the nests. So I know at least one new family has fledged today, and by that I mean possibly 4 to 5, even 6 babies out of one cavity, and more likely at least a second family has fledged. So we could be looking at anywhere up to about 12 new martins today. New in the sense that they've exited their nests after their first 4 weeks of life, from hatching in an egg to a full-fledged bird. And now they're making their first flights in the area. That's the good news. The not so good news is that they will now undergo flight training and aerial feeding training with their parents over the next 7 to 14 days. And then all of a sudden the migration urge hits them and they will leave us. They will start their migration back to South America, to Brazil. But that's what the cycle is all about, folks. So for the next few weeks here, as these families fledge their young ones, it's going to be pretty busy here. Now let me get around to another angle so we can look at, excuse me, I'm wiping an insect off the back of my ear. Hey birds, you're supposed to be eating these things, not letting them land on me. Now look at all this flight activity. We haven't seen flight activity to this extent in quite a few weeks. And I'll check the tops of nearby trees, because that's another thing that happens. when the parents get these birds to fledge and make their first flight, they usually head up to the top of the nearest tall tree in the area, and you'll see the babies sitting up on the branches of a tall tree. Now here comes someone with a dragonfly in. Look at that. Look at that. Mom bird has a dragonfly for her babies inside that gourd. And you can hear the babies chirping away, that muffled chirp inside the gourd. So when they start bringing in dragonflies, you know these kids are almost full size, if not full size. They start bringing in heavy-duty insects and everything, large insects to feed. Very warm here today and humid. Temperature is going to go up to 90 today here on eastern Long Island. Let's go check to see what the temperature is right now. Although this thermometer may have been in the sun for a while, so I don't know if it'd be a realistic reading, but we'll look at it anyway. Let me get down here. What do we see? 86 already, 86, 32 Celsius. Looks like what it is, right, folks? Okay, well, again, they said by noontime it'll be 90. And if it's 90 here, it's going to be close to 100 in New York City. Because at least out here right now, we're starting to develop the sea breeze coming up from the southwest. All right, but let's get back to the subject at hand here. Come on, birds. Now they've all quieted down. So I'm sure there's at least one family group up flying overhead. That would be 2 parents and 4 to 6 babies. And again, most likely there's a second family group of similar size flying overhead around the neighborhood now. After all is said and done with this season, by the 1st of August, we probably will have fledged between 150 and 200 new baby purple martins from our sites here. Hey, Blue Jay, what are you doing in the tray here? You're like an intruder. Blue Jay here looking for food, but there's no food in that tray over here. I use this for nesting material during nesting season. We put dry pine needles in here. No food, Blue Jay. So all the nesting material is gone, just some remnants there. So the birds have taken most of the nesting material and reinforced their nests over the last few weeks. Let's look at what's happening right here. There's a female, she's going to feed, she just flew off. She fed somebody at the opening of the gourd. There's a male up on the perch to the left, the inner bird on the left. He has a moth in his mouth. Female's probably also waiting to feed babies. All right, I'll back off a little bit. They'll hold off until I back away from the house. Then they'll go in and feed their kids. And there's the female on the gourd back to feed her babies. If I stay here, what I'm trying to do is hopefully catch a view of the heads of the little babies in the opening of the gourd. Let's see if I can zoom in on that and you can see what's going on. No, okay, they stuck their heads back in. But they'll come to the opening when the parent bird arrives with an insect. So that means they're getting to be full size, and they're getting ready to leave these nests very shortly, within a few days. That's what I mean by shortly. Okay. Let me just pan out. What, may you ask, is this little house on the side of the pole here? This is what I refer to as a fallout shelter. This little house. And what we do is, if any new martin hops out of a nest before they're ready to fly, and that could be for a day, for a few hours, and they really can't fly, and they kind of flutter or tumble to the ground, I try to get them as soon as possible and pick them up with a piece of tissue paper or whatever, and put them inside this fallout shelter. So they're protected from predators, from gulls, seagulls, and hawks, things of that nature. And then the parent birds will spot the young one here, and they'll continue to feed it, and then they will entice it to make its first flight from this fallout shelter porch here. And we have had great success with these over the years of saving quite a few baby purple martins that for one reason or another jump out of the nest a day or two early, or they fall out, and you know, we get them, and then within the 24 hours they're able to fly. I have 3 of these up. Here's another one over here. I'll just show you this close up. Okay. And you have a large opening, so there's no problem for the bird to scurry to the back of this nest, this shelter, which they like to do. I put some pine needles in there so it replicates their nest up above. So you pick them up in a piece of paper towel or something with their eyes covered so they don't see what's going on, and then I just drop them in here and they scurry to the back. And as I say, then the parents will come to try to feed them, and eventually the bird will come back and he'll sit on the railing here and make his first flight later in the day or the following day. And there's a third one I have over on the post over on that side to cover that side of the yard. Looks like we're hanging out on the gourds on this house over here, also waiting for babies to make their first appearance and try to make their first flight. Very interesting. It has to do with the time cycle, because it does take 26 to 28 days before they're ready to fly, but also it has to do with the heat and the humidity. Eventually these cavities start to get very warm and the birds get anxious to get out in the real world. But it's almost like they have a sixth sense, the fellow birds, that they know what's going on and they gather for this ritual. Oh, look at this. Look at the egret here. Let's see if I can zoom in on him. He's on top of the piling there. Wait a minute. Let me get this camera steady. Alright, now let me hold my iPhone as steady as I can. You see the egret right there in the center? On the piling, standing up straight. So he's hanging around early morning fishing. They'll get down on the dock in a little bit, and he'll wait for a school of killifish to go by, and then he'll try to spear fish as they go by. And here is a herring gull who has an injured wing. Oh, there goes the egret flying off. Okay, he'll go upriver to see if there's anything up further. This poor seagull cannot fly. As I say, he's got an injured wing, but he's recuperating, and he can then make short flights around the yard here, maybe of 50 feet or so. So he's building up his strength again. And people in the neighborhood, including us, have been feeding him. So he's doing all right, and hopefully that wing will heal itself. Another few weeks and he'll be ready to fly off, do his thing. We've affectionately named him Philo. P-H-I-L-O. Philo gull. What are you going to do there, Mr. Gull? Head up to the house now, see if there's any free eats. Hey, he'll walk toward the house. You can get within 15-20 feet of him and toss some handouts. And other than the fact that he just can do low-level flights right now, he seems to be in good health and everything. Not really a problem. He's scavenging now, foraging on the lawn. Sometimes they'll find pieces of crabs that other gulls have torn apart and dropped here in the front yard, and they'll get the remnants of that. See what he's doing there? He's looking for something in the grass. I'm sure they're also eating insects, whatever he can find. Hey Philo, what are you looking for? Come back at lunchtime when you get some lunchtime scraps up at the side of the house. Okay, beautiful morning. Again, humid. Here on eastern Long Island, time is 9:25. The birds, the parent birds, are feeding. One's inside the cavities. We also have newbies outside the cavities now for their first day. And they'll hang around until the parents gather the whole families together and start to go out on their daily training flights over the neighborhood and over the community. Hey, all my YouTube friends, subscribers, glad to see that we're back in action again on YouTube. I went down to the waterfront last night to do the sailboat races, but unfortunately YouTube was still not working at that time at 6:30 last night, so next time we'll do that. Let's see, there's the swan family off in the distance by the boats over there. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me this morning. And what we'll try to do is get on the air again this evening to see the evening time purple martin activity, particularly if we get any more families to fledge today. Then there's going to be a significantly larger number of birds coming back at night, obviously parents with their families, to get back into these cavities for a while. All right, take care, everyone.